Coffee Monday is more than a podcast. It's a movement to reshape the way we approach Mondays and the week ahead. It's about embracing the reality that work doesn't have to dominate our lives. It's about finding that sweet spot where passion, purpose, and a cup of motivation connect. Filmed and recorded in California's Central Valley, join me, your host, Ray Pardini Matson, as I invite thriving professionals to share their stories of how they're crafting a life that's both vibrant and balanced.
Honestly, I just go into it. We just start chatting.
Yeah,
Are we good with that?
I'm totally good.
I feel like you're so good about your podcast, about branding it from the very beginning every time. It's genius.
Oh,
I love what you're doing. And also, I was catching up before this, and you have so many episodes, Betsy.
it's wild. I know. I was like,
Bravo.
thank you. Well, it's because of you. It's because of you and that conversation that we had at that table.
What, consistency?
Remember when I interviewed you about your podcast?
Yes. Yeah.
And then you helped me start it. This thing would still be on the shelf if it wasn't for you.
I mean, you're very sweet to say that.
No, it is the God's honest truth. I'm not even kidding. No,
I'm
so grateful. So grateful.
So proud of you. And
it's so fun.
Killing it. Like so many episodes. That's amazing.
Yay.
So do you have I don't want you to give away all your secrets. And
Okay.
I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit. I want to kind of backpedal. But do you have a set routine for when you record, certain days?
Are we did we start?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was waiting for a 1, 2, 3. Okay. No.
1, 2, 3.
Okay. Woo. Okay. Ask me the question again, please.
Well, Betsy, we were just talking about how on your podcast, you're very polished and consistent and have a very formal intro. And on mine, we just dive in.
No, I love it.
We are recording.
I love it. Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh, and I'm so happy to be here.
I wanted to catch up before, but I'm let's wait till the episode. So, but with your podcast, you're doing amazing. We've had Handle Dish, productivity for the imperfect, right?
Is it?
Love. And you're so good. It's so well branded that you say that out the gate every time. Do you have set days that you record, or you just...
No,
you don't?
No. And I think, and it's interesting. Obviously, it's been almost a year and a half, and,
I know, wild,
which is so fun. Right. And again, so grateful to you and RPM for helping me get everything off the ground and giving me the nudge I needed. I was a lot more structured and formal at the beginning, because I thought that's what I had to do.
Right.
And then I thought, you know what? This is literally my hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to do it however I want.
Right.
So I have done it a million different ways. At the moment, I am trying to record at least 2 at a time.
Smart.
Typically, it's on mornings. I film in my home. And so in my great room, it's got a lot of windows. And so I wait for the right light. And so mornings are good. Anyway, this answer's too long. But
yeah, hey, you're on all the time. That's the beauty of the podcast, right?
So usually it's weekend mornings. I try to do at least 2 at a time. Sometimes I can have enough energy for 3. I found that 3 is max. Right. And so that's my ideal thing. Sometimes that doesn't work. For example, this week's upcoming podcast has not been filmed, so it'll be very close to the deadline, which again is fine.
Yeah.
So I'm working on creating a structure, but I'm not stressed about it because as long as I'm still having fun, that's kind of my thing. As long as this is still fun for me, and as long as it comes out on Tuesdays, which is my personal goal, it's all good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I know. I feel the same about the fun part, right?
Yeah.
Why are we doing it if it's not fun?
Absolutely.
It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be sort of educational, engaging, and you're not doing this as your number one gig.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So taking it a step back though, you wear many hats, Betsy. I'm going to look at my notes because I don't want to forget any. Professor, author, speaker, podcast host, publicist. You have many titles through your education career as well that I'm sure I'm omitting. But wow, how, when people ask you what you do, how do you answer? I'm curious.
Yeah, I love that you asked this question because this is actually something I've been thinking about a lot.
Really?
And I have come up with this answer. So this is my draft answer.
Love
This
it.
is you're the only person I've ever shared this with.
Yes.
So this is a new idea.
Love.
I have decided that I strive to be someone who helps people succeed in the life that they want. So I was looking for a thread, right, with all this stuff. And that's really what I do, right? Because as an educator, people want to be advertising and PR practitioners. So I give them the knowledge and tools to do that. With the podcast and the speaking, same thing, right? I try to give people the knowledge and the tools to get the things done that they want to succeed in whatever it is that I'm, that I'm talking about. And I feel really good about that when someone is able to say, oh my gosh, I was able to do this because of some sort of interaction.
Amazing.
Right?
That's everything.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's who I am.
I love, and I feel like you probably feel that often with your students.
I have the best job in the world.
You really do.
I really do.
And all of your students, and I've seen many of them here, whether it be through internships or they started as an intern and are still with us today, many of those situations, they love you. They so value what they've learned from you. They look up to you. Like that speaks volumes, especially for such a vulnerable age where these students are in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
great.
that's so sweet. Sweet that you say that. And it goes both ways, right? I'm so lucky. And I say this all the time about my particular students, and I'm sure other departments will say the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like this particular industry, right? I teach PR and advertising, attracts really wonderful humans. And whether they end up in this industry or not, like I'm just so blessed to be around really good people.
So great.
Like I've been doing this for 26 years.
So amazing.
And
Have you been at Fresno State that long? Yes. That is amazing.
it's crazy.
I hope.
And I really can't tell you about a student that I've had that I disliked.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, who can say that?
I know.
So so blessed. They're so amazing. I learned so much from them. I hope they learned from me. If anything else, I want them to be encouraged, right? I mean, sometimes you just need someone to believe in you, right? And I've been given that feedback. It's like, wow, it's that whole like, you believed in me when I didn't believe in myself is really a thing. Like you said, it's a vulnerable age.
It's really a thing.
The world is insane. Like how, so, and in fact, it's so fascinating. This past semester in particular, I really worked hard to make this is such an overused phrase, but to make my classroom like a safe space. Like regardless of what else is going on, right? When you come in here, we're gonna like learn stuff. You're gonna be encouraged by your peers. We're gonna hopefully have a little chuckle or laugh because I also don't think that we need to be as serious as we are most of the time.
Which not everybody feels that way. So
this is true. Yeah. This is true. Yeah. So anyway, so grateful.
How do you stay abrieved of all the things that are ever changing in our world? Because we work in similar industries, right? Where we practice in the public relations field, the social media field. You even are taking a step further and really focusing on the advertising marketing side. I mean, we dip into that, but not a ton. There's so much going on. How do you stay like abrieved of all the latest and greatest? Do you have certain resources you lean on? How do you do it?
Yeah, I know it's such a good question. And because you could easily, spend all day every day.
Overwhelming,
right? It is so overwhelming. And what I try to do is to have a balance because at the end of the day, the basics are essentially the same, right? You want, your knowledge of your audience, the more you know is key. The messaging, strategies and theories and all of that kind of stuff, the basic structure of how we do things, the tools, of course, and the technology is, what's just absolutely overwhelmingly fast paced. And so I try to make sure I understand the big trends. I can't know everything.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I try to make sure that there's not a significant trend that I'm unaware of, because that would be embarrassing. Full disclosure, that would be embarrassing. But, I try really hard to do that. And then the stuff that is just particularly interesting to me and I would read about, even if it wasn't my job, I try to, that's where I get a little bit more in the weeds. But as far as specific tools, that's a great question. There's, I subscribe to a few newsletters because again, who wants 20 newsletters to have the
ones you like and when they're familiar and
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah. And then I read, I consume my news by reading. And so I read a lot.
That's so great.
Stuff,
You read and you write, which I'm looking forward to diving into that.
Yes.
So podcasting would be like the newest tech.
Yes.
Right? So you started Handle Dish, Productivity for the Imperfect. Little over, you said almost a year and a half ago. I feel like, wow. Fly.
Time flies so much.
How are you feeling about the podcast world and what sort of inspired you to start Handle Dish? Let's start there.
Yeah. So it was interesting. The idea came well before the launch date. Yeah. It was something that I thought about a few years before. I'm really a productivity nerd. I love to read about it. I love to tinker. I'm obsessed. And so when I thought, what, this podcasting thing sounds so fun. I totally want to do it. What should I do? And on blah, blah, blah. Productivity, obviously. Okay, well, what am I going to call it? And so then I remembered, I was thinking one day, it was probably 3 a.m, because that's when I do good thinking sometimes, that I use the word handled obsessively. With my students all the time, I'm like, get it handled. It's handled, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. To the point that in 2015, my students bought me a brick in that educator wall at Fresno State, and it literally says Betsy Hays handled on the brick.
Stop it.
Is that amazing? It was so sweet. So thank you again, class of 2015. Really and so I was like,
That's it.
That's it. And then a few weeks later.
I love the imperfect part. That's so approachable.
Yeah.
So, I have all the questions about productivity because I feel like we're all trying to be more efficient. We only have a certain amount of time in the day, right? I don't even know. Where do you begin? Do you have certain sort of productivity hacks or routines that you feel you can that? Maybe let's start, because we could go so many different ways with that. Maybe let's start with your morning routine.
Okay.
Do you have certain things that a part of your morning routine that are making it most productive?
That is one of the things I love to tinker with.
Really?
Because it is fun, because there's so many articles about morning routines and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
But
you read, I'm sure, 5 a.m. Club.
Oh, yeah. So good.
Do you practice any of that?
I do not get up at 5 a.m. I get up about between 5:30 and 5:45. So it's pretty early, but it's not 5 a.m. And I have found that when I exercise before I do anything else, that is best for me. I strive to meditate every day. I'm not successful, but that is something that I know that if I'm doing on a regular basis, right? And then I always have my plan for the day organized before. So,
great.
And we can totally talk about why I do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, and so then usually that's, I exercise, I try to meditate and or at least have a tiny bit of quiet time with my coffee, maybe staring out the window, and then get ready for the day and go is sort of typically. So it's not very complicated. I think what's most important for me is to know what I'm going to do before I wake up. Because all the research shows that most of us are at our best in the morning. And there's also, I actually don't know if there's research on this. I'm pretty sure there is. I believe that we have a figuring out what to do brain and a doing the things brain. And when we try to do all of that at the same time, we are not very successful, which is why I'm a firm believer in planning your week on Fridays, because if you are doing that on Monday morning, you are wasting prime brain power because you are, a little bit rested, we have our caffeine,
Right.
all this good stuff. If you're planning your week on Monday morning, in my opinion, most of us are wasting our most productive time.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Or I agree with you on that. Or you feel behind.
Yes.
Like we do Monday team meetings. Mm-hmm. So many companies do. This is not a revolutionary thought. First thing Monday morning, let's get into what that week looks like, right? I have to prep for that.
Yeah.
I can't just go in blind. That doesn't work. It's not efficient for anyone. And to your point, I think it's wasted time.
Totally.
I agree with that. 100%. So if anything, we should have already prepped for what we're discussing. And it's execution.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. So you do it on Fridays.
Okay. So, and it's interesting. This, Laura Vanderkam is a very famous time management expert. She's written a million books. I love her. Actually got to meet her. Laura Vanderkam. I actually had the opportunity to meet her with some client work I did a couple years back, which was I was trying so hard not to fangirl, but
Sweet.
It was so fun.
Love.
But that is one of the things in one of her books. And I love planning my week on Fridays for two reasons. Actually, maybe more than two. But the first one is Friday afternoons tend to not be very productive time, right?
True.
That is when, people will kind of, search surf the web, play with ChatGPT now.
Right. Or I find a lot of our clients are checked out.
Yeah.
They're going on a weekend, weekend warriors, if you will, right? They're not on a road trip. They're not by their computer. They're golfing, whatever.
Yeah. Which is fine. 100% fine.
Yeah.
So it's not terribly productive time. Mm-hmm. So you can turn it into productive time by having it be a planning time. My favorite reason though, and this is my own reason, is we tend to be a little tired. Mm-hmm. And so we are kinder to ourselves when we plan. That's the other danger about Monday morning, right? You're freaking ready to go. Mm-hmm. And so you're I can do this, and I will put this in. And I don't need more than 5 minutes in between this meeting and that meeting. Not kind, right? When we come to our schedule planning. But if we do it on Friday afternoon, we're a little tired and we tend to be more realistic about what we can accomplish in the week. And then we also tend to be a little bit more kind to ourselves about the schedule.
Love that.
The other thing we can do is we can see problems in advance, right? Oh my gosh, I think there's a few too many things on Tuesday. What can I move? Or, wow, you know what? This thing that I originally thought was only going to take me half a day. If I really think about it, it's going to take me more than that. So I need to adjust. Mm-hmm. So nobody's going to get upset with you if you move something for the following week on a Friday.
Mm-hmm. You're so right.
But Tuesday morning, they're what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last minute. Yeah. No, that's so true.
Yeah. So it works so good.
Practice that with other personal things in your life, like meal prep or grocery shop, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Any of that?
Yes. And before I do that, can I say one more thing about the Fridays? Because this is also a little secret sauce. So the other thing I do is I confirm everything. Literally everything. Often, even if you meet with me every single week, I'll be hey, looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday at 8:30 and blah, 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 blah. But I can, particularly the things that are one-offs, right? Mm-hmm. I literally text or email on Friday afternoons confirming. And
for the following week.
And if I don't trust you, I will also maybe text you the next morning. So those of you that I do that to, you now know my secret.
You now know who you are.
But, and then, because nobody has time for appointments not to work out, right? So and true. So that way I'm okay, cool. And so if there's a problem, people will tell me, so then I can adjust. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm obsessed with this idea. I can't tell you how valuable it is. I actually will plan 2 weeks. 1 week in excruciating detail and then the next week in sort of a looser detail, because I like to be able to see problems farther in advance,
right,
if they're going to happen.
Right.
Anyway, so I'm obsessed. So, but the question that you asked though was about meal prep and stuff.
Well, just personalized.
Yeah.
For me, that's at the top of the list. I feel I can't figure that out.
I have
Maybe I just need to prioritize it. I don't know.
No. And I think a couple, maybe, but I mean, it's one of those things. It's you got to eat the frog, right? It's, we know the areas of our life that probably could use a little bit more love. And for whatever reason, we're not doing them. And I am totally right there with you.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is I'm sure you've experienced this too, is once we like actually sit down and do it, it's not as awful and it doesn't take as much time as we thought, right?
100. And you feel so good about yourself.
Yeah. 100. Yeah. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm a superhero. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, meal planning is great. Oh, I actually have a little free PDF. We can maybe even link to that from the podcast with my meal planning like structure thing that I think is super easy.
Love.
But when everything is working on all cylinders, absolutely. Planning the meals in advance, doing the grocery list, meal prepping breakfast. Again, I am imperfect, so it is 100% not all the time. But when I do, it's so great. And I do have, I've done it enough that it is kind of a regular thing. And it makes everything so good. Because I'm not the kind of person that can come home and be like, what do I want to have for dinner? That's not who I am.
Yeah.
I will buy something if that's the case, right? But if I have the ingredients and I've made the plan,
don't want it to go to waste.
Exactly.
Well, that's why we make bad decisions when we don't have a plan.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm sure this goes without saying, but I imagine you're type A.
How did you know? Why gave it away? Yes,
But
ma'am, I
I'm
am.
seeing a lot of this buzz on social, and it's more related to like being a mom, which makes me giggle. But it's like I'm a type A/B mom. Like I have so many things that are so put together, and then I forget the kids' sunscreen or whatever,
Yep.
And I kind of feel that. Like, what's your take on the whole like labeling of type A, type B? Can somebody be a type A/B?
No, that's literally the whole idea with my podcast is,
Yeah. That's
handled
why
ish.
It's
Yeah.
literally like your title and your everything in a name.
Yeah. Because we are. I mean, so the whole philosophy is we cannot be handled in everything in our lives.
Right.
Especially as working moms. It's just literally physically, psychologically, spiritually impossible. And however, that doesn't mean that you can't like be so good at so many things. And then a few things are like, yeah. Like I talk all the time about how I stopped ironing like 30 years ago. Literally have not ironed probably more than 2 times in the last 30 years.
Amazing.
Because I'm like, you know what? I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's necessary. I buy clothes that I can take out of the dryer and put on a thing. And occasionally you will probably find a wrinkle on me, but I don't care. I don't care. Most of the time I think I look okay. It's fine.
You do.
But, and when the kids were growing up, I was like a B- housekeeper.
Right.
Like, the house was clean, but was it tidy all the time? Could you find dust? Yeah. Because that I was like, you know what? I could either kill myself to be an A+ housekeeper and I live by myself and I'm still not an A+ housekeeper, but it's much better. I'll give myself an A now. But because, it's like, okay, my priority is to be like the best mom I can be. I'm not going to be perfect. The girls will certainly tell you I wasn't or aren't because I'm, obviously, even though they're grown, I'm still.
Yeah.
But, so I think it's really important to go, okay, well, what are the things that are so critical to who core to who I am and what my values are? And really kind of objectively decide what things are going to be the ish.
It's so true.
And the more you can laugh about them, the better, right? It's like, yeah, you know what? We eat whatever the heck's in the fridge on Thursdays, Great.
We literally eat leftover surprise on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
No, 100%. Make it a game, label it, make it fun,
Yep.
and this is probably like going to put me on the bad mom list for some of those Pinterest or Instagram moms right now, but my kids be there on lunch.
I was literally, Betsy, I was going to say, you're going down the lunch route. I literally just had a conversation with my friend about this because there are those moms that like cut the watermelon into shapes and make sure it's a well-balanced meal, like put some time into the lunch. I wish I could do that.
Same, but I never did
I
it.
think it's fantastic. Amazing.
Yep.
That is not me. Actually, yesterday, for the first time, it's so funny we're having this conversation. I had the girls make their own lunch list. They're 6 and 7 years old.
Love it.
So probably will be judged for that. But I told them, okay, now we need a fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Now we need some sort of a green in there. Had to steer them the right direction.
Yeah.
But they've pulled it together.
Absolutely.
You know what? I go to open that lunchbox when I'm putting it in the dishwasher, and they ate everything.
There you go.
And I feel like my husband and I are big about waste. Like we hate the wasted food. Like it's just not it, you know? So I'd rather that than maybe put like a ton of time into something that they don't. I don't know. Is that bad?
No, 100%. Yes. And I think, the peer pressure is so significant. Oh my gosh, the whole mom thing is just so hard.
All of it.
Yeah. But yeah, same thing. I'm like, yes. Is it lovely to make watermelons in the shape of hearts? Absolutely, yes. Is that something that I'm going to be able to do? Absolutely not. I don't know if it's still a thing, but when the girls were little, there was all this pressure to make your own baby food. I'm sure it's probably still a thing.
Yes.
And again, I was like, I just can't. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to end up being okay with what I'm providing for them. And obviously you do fresh and blah, blah, blah as much as you can. But, full disclosure, they did eat some baby food out of a jar,
Or a packet now. Oh, well, there's a lot of judgment with that.
I'm sure.
What I will say, though, I think we're very much on the same page in many ways, but specifically with like efficiency.
Yes.
Let's talk time. Let's talk productivity and efficiency. The time that it would take me to make that sort of baby puree situation from scratch.
Yeah.
And then have them take 2 bites and spit it out.
Exactly.
Now there's companies that make these things that are very clean.
Yep.
Like they're catching on. And I think that goes back to efficiency, right? Like I don't think there's any harm in that.
No, not at all. And again, it's all about choices.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like easy if you can.
Yeah. No. God bless everyone who is making their own baby food. Bless you. And I think it's amazing. And, again, we are not dissing on the watermelon heart moms. Love that. Seriously, love that for you. Not in a sarcastic way at all.
Same.
But yeah. And I think, actually did a podcast on this week. And you just want to make the best choice that you can.
Totally.
And is it going to be the perfect choice most of the time? Probably not. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, though, it will be. Right. It'll be the perfect choice. And we should mark the moment and celebrate that. Right. But most of the time, it's going to be
just fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel that so hard.
Yeah.
There's this analogy, and I'm sure you've heard of it. You've probably talked about it. A whole like glass.
The glass balls and the rubber balls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pick which ones you're able to drop, pick which ones that will essentially shatter if you do, sort of thing. And I think about that so often.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, sitting on the couch I'm in the kitchen. Kids are sitting on the couch. They're asking me to sit with them.
Yeah.
And my mom heart is like tugged to them. And I look at the sink and it's like filled with dishes. My kitchen's a disaster. And I'm like, you know what? Sure, honey. I'm going to sit with you on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like the kitchen can wait. I can do the kitchen after you go to bed, So that I feel like is such a dance with not only motherhood, but also with work, with commitments, with social things, right? Like we only have so much free time for the fun things.
Exactly. So you want to do the things that truly fill your cup, right? I love that whole talk about the whole filling the cup thing. I think because, that whole no is a full sentence, right? And, making those decisions and also realizing and, we're in different places in our motherhood journey.
Yes.
And just realizing that that our life is full. I mean, God willing, our life is long and we have different seasons. And, so now is the season for, food coloring. And,
so
little Samantha had this fabulous like pretend chemistry set where, we would put the water in with like the food coloring. And so she would pretend, now she's a scientist. So it worked.
Hey,
but now's the time for that. And like, smearing, I'm just thinking of all these fun things, smearing like the shaving cream on and letting them like play, like all those things. Right. And then later can be the, whatever else that you were missing while you were doing that, food coloring or bubble play or whatever it is. And that's okay. And that's why I'm also a fan of like writing down everything that you feel that you may want to do, because we also aren't going to remember in 10 years, what our great idea that we missed out on and was sad about. So I love to like make the notes and then, review and be like, do I still want to do that? Right. Yes. Or, oh my God, what? No, I don't want to do that still. But, and then just the whole season thing I think is so important. We can't do everything at every stage of our lives. But again, I think we can, most of the time we can make, time for what's important if we look at like the big picture, right?
totally agree with you. And, what do they say? Little people, little problems, big people, big problems.
Amen.
It's so true. Like, I've seen friends with older children, whether it be teens or 20s or 30s, and it's like, whoa, like, I am not ready for that yet. I'm dealing with, sharing is caring issues.
Yes.
So it's just like, you're right. There's so many seasons of motherhood and navigating all that.
Mm-hmm.
The most challenging role there is.
The hardest and best.
Right?
Yep. I totally agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So back to productivity.
Yes, ma'am.
I would love to know how you have knocked out 76 episodes in a little over a year. That is so impressive for your podcast. That's amazing, Betsy.
Yay. Yeah. And it was almost every week. I did break my knee, so I did have to take a 3-week hiatus.
I feel like we needed more time to catch up before. How is your?
So the knee is probably about 90%. I can do most things.
That's amazing.
I'm so blessed, so grateful. It's been almost a year.
Right.
I hope to be back to, normal at some point, but yeah, no.
You just have to refrain from certain exercises.
There's like some stuff I can't, like going stairs are really difficult,
I would think
particularly
so.
down still. Like I can do it, but it's, if you saw me walk down the stairs, you're like, oh, that lady has something that she's struggling with. Yeah. And I can't, not that I ran before, but I really aren't able to run. So like, I can't, yeah. So like,
yeah. So you're finding certain little
things,
but 90%'s great.
Yeah, no, I'm grateful. One of the things that's interesting is that I've been 90% for several months and I'm like ready to, get a little closer to 100, but I just had to be patient. And I'm so grateful because if I think about, where I was, versus, I'm crossing my legs as we're sitting here. That was like impossible. I didn't even bend my leg for 3 months. Yeah, it's wild.
So do you take some time off from recording? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I took about 3 weeks and then I did a lot of the episodes from my couch because that was where I was for quite some time.
Yep.
But so, yeah, I think it was one of those things where I just was, it's the whole, like, once you set your mind to something, commit, all that. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to have an episode come out on Tuesday and I'm going to figure out how to make that happen.
Love that.
Which means that some weeks, 10 o'clock on Monday night, I'm editing and uploading, and thankfully not very many, but there were some, full disclosure.
Right.
And one time I actually recorded and processed and uploaded on a Tuesday because I was like, you know what? I don't care. It's still Tuesday.
Yes.
Still counts.
The deadline.
Still counts.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was really more, and sometimes the episodes are 5 minutes. Sometimes they're a half hour. I think I've got a couple that are 45.
Right.
So again, not stressing about like having it be an exact length or whatever. It's like, I just want to have something out in the world. And if anything about it helps someone in some way, yay, So yeah, it was really about tempering, not needing to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully with the title, it provides me the bandwidth to be like, even in the middle of a podcast, I'm like, yeah, well, that's why it's called The Imperfect Productivity for the Imperfect. And, because it's,
That's funny. What has been the most like surprisingly favorite episode of yours and why? Or one that sticks out to you maybe?
Yeah, that's a fun question. So, I know I was looking this morning about the most views and the most downloads, and that doesn't necessarily translate to.
I agree with that. We were just talking about that the other day, how that doesn't always translate.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
So I really loved, and I want to go back to this. I really loved the episode. It's actually one of the first 5 that I did with y'all about decision fatigue.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
How important it is to really think about that. And how relatively easily we can actually really reduce our decision fatigue. And so I want to take so I personally loved that particular episode. When I talk about it out in the world, it does resonate with people, which I appreciate. And yeah, that's something I want to dive back in more, maybe even have like a series. I have not done that yet. Like a 5-part series would be really fun, like decision fatigue in this, decision fatigue in this. So that's been
kind of going
really
back
fun.
to your point, a series, or just kind of going back to like a part 2 of
yes.
what you had discussed before. That was a good one.
Yeah.
decision fatigue is a real thing.
Yes.
Do you think that some of that is like just who the person is? Like some people are just more decisive than others, or no?
Yes. However, I think that we can all become more decisive.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really do. And if we decide things ahead of time, the problem is making decisions in real time is hard for a lot of people. But if you've decided in advance, then, and again, you got to commit to the bit, right? You got to be like, okay, well, when I go out to lunch, I'm going to either choose X or Y. And then not
true.
It's like, who cares what you have for lunch? You're at lunch with someone that you want to spend time with, just decide if they have X, you order X. If they have Y, you order Y. And then you move on with your life and then you can focus on the person you're having lunch.
So true.
Yeah. But if we wait, then we're like,
steering your efforts to certain things that are more meaningful to you, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like jokingly, but not jokingly, a big part of like adulting.
100%.
It's like, the house is a mess and you get an opportunity to leave and go somewhere. It's like, is that the most responsible thing to do? Not necessarily. But where do your values lie? Where do your priorities lie? Quality time or getting that laundry pile tackled, So I guess everybody's priorities are different. Maybe mine don't go to the house enough.
And I think that to be honest with you, Ray, I think that's where we really need to give ourselves grace and really be able to be our own person and have our family be the way we want it to. Because who cares whether, our values are different from someone else's. If we are true to our values, that really should be the only thing that matters.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
And, when our kids go to other people's houses, they're going to experience how their families go and they'll share, well, my house, we do this and blah, blah, blah. And I think it's really fun, right? To be like, how do you do that?
How do you do that?
Yeah. But I think if we all are able to do that without judging, I'll be so much happier.
A better place. Okay, let me ask you this. This is not part of my original questions, but I do think it's relevant and I'm intrigued. Social media is such an overwhelmingly judgmental scene, right? But also can suck us in at any age. So we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm curious your thoughts from a productivity standpoint and from a time management sort of efficiency standpoint. Like, if somebody enjoys it or it's their sort of like outlet to just sort of like, some people, their vice is reality TV.
Yeah.
Some people like to scroll Instagram or whatever. What would you say is like, how would you sort of work that into the day?
Yeah.
Like productively. I don't know.
Right.
Like, do you believe in setting a timer? Do you believe in, I don't know, I guess everybody's relationship with social is different, but if you have any recommendations from like a productivity standpoint of social media usage?
I do. And again, I think that first, like big picture, as we've been talking about, I think if the person is doing the things they want to do and getting the things that they want to do done, then I don't even think it's even needs to be part of a conversation, right? True. But if, someone is feeling like their social is interfering with other things, I think that's, or whatever it is, right? It's Love Island, like you said, reality TV.
Yeah, that's the thing.
If they're feeling like they're doing something too much, in quotes, that it's interfering with what they really want to do, then it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do with this? So I know we're going to talk about the women's conference and email in a moment.
So excited about
but my overall best recommendation is for people to turn off their notifications.
That's a good one.
Because it is really
distracting,
difficult to ignore that. It's like a magnet. It's also like the lottery. It's like, is that going to be the best post that I've ever, it's like, is that going to be the best post I've ever seen? Maybe. So I want to look at it. Right. Or some of us don't really like to have the type A, don't like to have that little number there on the badge. And so it's got to go away or, whatever. But, so turning off your notifications, treat all of your inboxes like a mailbox. You decide when to go, not the other way around. Our mailbox from the post office doesn't go, hey, Ray, there's some mail in here. Hey, you haven't looked at the mail. Hey, there's 4 pieces of mail in there. Right? It doesn't do that. So you go get the mail when you want to get it. And so that just helps tremendously. So that way you feel like you're in a little bit more of a position of power and it's not them telling you to come check Instagram or whatever. And then I do think some people really like, a certain number of times a day. Like I'm gonna have 4 Instagram periods a day or whatever it is, TikTok, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is it can literally be at specific times, right? You can literally set a alarm on your phone. Yeah. Calendar invite, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm going to, 10 to 6 and 10 or whatever for 15 minutes. If, experimenting is probably good. Like, okay,
good.
what feels fun? Because again, literally, if it's not bringing you joy, then it's really time to think about it.
Like when you said Love Island, it made me giggle. I have yet to see it. People are obsessed. We talk about it at the office. But like, it's so silly. But I agree. If it brings you joy, then,
right? Exactly. No, I just came back from a visit with my daughter and I had not seen it.
Yeah.
And I did watch it with her because I was like, okay, same thing. Yeah. She wanted me to watch it with her. Yes. She's 28. It still happens, right? Yes. And I'm like, okay, I could go in the other room or I could like suck it up and watch Love Island with her. And, but it brings her joy. It makes her happy. She enjoys it. So and obviously millions of other people do too, right? Because it's so like a thing. Yeah. So but we all need to be honest about ourselves. Like, does scrolling on social media really bring us joy? Or is it just something that we do when we're anxious? Is it something that we do out of habit? Is it something that we do because we, feel like we're going to miss something or, if it's not a good feeling that we have, then it's really time to be like, hey, how can we cut back? And then I'm also a big fan of experimentation. Yeah. Try something for a week. Right. And then be like, hey, I really like only looking at it 3 times a day. I'm going to continue that. Or, you know what? I was real sad because I actually wanted to be on it more or whatever. Again, there's no right answer. It's just that, we want to lead our most happy, productive lives. And if something is in the way, then that's adulting, right? We need to be grown up and mature enough to take a look at it.
I love those 2 key takeaways. Check yourself, essentially, and experiment. Yeah. I love that because everybody has a different relationship with it. Everybody has a different schedule. Yep. I know for me, we did sort of like, not necessarily New Year's resolutions, but like New Year's goals. Yeah. And I have the Aura ring and it tells you when your heart rate is increased and when you are stressed. Yeah. When you are, there's a name for it that's escaping me right now, but it shows your like resilience to handling stress. And it was telling me that my highest, most stimulated part of my day was from 5 to 8 p.m. Okay. Yeah. And here's why is I was wrapping up calls. I was trying to send that last email. I was posting something for work for social. I was following up with all the things, trying to still make dinner, be present with the kids, do the bath time, do the bedtime, do the story time, the things. And by the way, have a connection with my husband, So I literally, we've put our phones away. Yeah. 5 to 8. Great. Love that. I'm not going to lie. Had a little bit of a slip up pre-mom's time out when we were just like grinding to get stuff done. But I do feel like it's really helped and made me like more of a present mom. Yeah. And so, but I think that's part of the experiment. Yep. Right. Like I tried and it's worked really well for me. And 99% of the time we've been holding to it, but I wouldn't have otherwise if I didn't sort of like put the pieces together, So lastly, for the podcast, what are you hoping people get out of it? I think you already kind of touched on this. You said, if somebody gets something out of it or somebody uses some of the tools and sort of insights that you've shared, then you're like, yay. But like truly, what are you hoping for listeners and viewers to take away from listening and watching?
I really hope that they give themselves grace and compassion and are not as hard as we are on ourselves when we don't get it all done or whether we don't do something we should do. Because nothing good happens when we berate ourselves. Nothing. Doesn't make us more productive. Just makes us kind of sad. So I just hope that, they realize that we are all imperfect. It's literally the definition of being human. and that they when they don't do what they planned, okay, whatever. Tomorrow, again, God willing, is a new day. We have another opportunity. Let's try it again, and so that's number one, just grace and compassion. And then number two is we really have to be intentional if we're going to do what we want to do. It doesn't happen by accident. And again, this might be the type A, but I know that my weekends, for example, are not going to be what I want if I don't put some intentional effort into that. Even if that means don't have anything, between 1 and 4 on Sunday because you just want to rest or do nothing or whatever. It doesn't really matter how I orchestrate my weekend, but I know that if I don't think about it ahead of time, I'm going to be sad on Sunday. I'm going to be like, you know what? This really wasn't the experience I wanted. So
I think that's part of preparing yourself.
Yeah.
Right? That's huge.
Yeah.
I know. I'm going to try planning on Friday.
Do it. Oh, and let me know.
Tip.
It's the best thing ever.
I'm really excited because you've sold me A, and B, I've been doing it on Sundays, and I don't like that.
No,
That's
you need
to be a day of rest.
Please, no. And that is actually, so it's interesting. It would be really fun to do a study, but my hypothesis is most people do it Monday morning, and then secondly, Sunday, if they do it at all, right? Yeah. No, Sunday is part of the weekend. Yeah. Give that back to yourself.
I kind of, if I'm being honest, sometimes I feel like so empowered. Like I feel solid. I'm organized, all the things. To your point, I'm not really following up with anybody that were confirming anything because it's Sunday.
Exactly. And you don't want to do that.
So that's on my to-do list for Monday.
There you go.
So I feel like that would alleviate a lot of that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I was kind of starting to resent it a little bit.
Yes.
Because I still have to find a moment where the kids are occupied. Yeah. They're playing outside or watching a show or napping, whatever.
Yep.
And I didn't like that either. Because then it takes a chunk of my time.
Yep.
Our time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try your Friday thing and report back.
It's pretty great. And just a little tip. Sometimes your Friday's going to be super booked because sometimes that happens. Right. Do it on Thursday.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you can just do a little bit of adjustment on Monday morning.
Which, to your point, do you put it in the calendar? Or you plan it in the calendar? Prep for the next week?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, I have to move it around. Okay. But, most of the time, I do. And sometimes it's Friday morning. Right? If I have a big Friday, the point is it doesn't have to be at the same exact time every week. Right. I just definitely make sure that it gets done before the weekend starts.
Love that.
And, obviously we're all adjusting. I adjust just about every day something. Because I'm also a big fan of going with your energy. And it's like this tension. Everything is tension, right? So I really believe that you should go with your energy. And if you're feeling like you're really creative, let's move things and do your creative stuff then. And I'm also a fan of the whole eating the frog, which is ironically a book I've never read, but I talk about it all the time. Yeah. There's literally a book, I think it's literally called Eat the Frog.
Okay.
And my children and I still talk about it. I started with them when they were when they still lived at home. And the whole idea is, right, that you do the thing that you don't want to do first, right? And what's so fun is
eat the veggies first.
Exactly. Well, and as adults, we need to eat the veggies first. To be honest, that is what we need to do as adults.
Eat the frog.
Eat the frog. And there's a frog emoji. So, what is not to love about this idea? Horrible. And it's this little frog face is the best thing ever. So you do need to, again, be the grown up and balance between eating the frogs and going with your energy. But I think, sometimes we're feeling so creative. And sometimes you're like, you know what? I have no cognitive ability right now. So what can I do on this list that, is no brain power, right? Adjusting an agenda or scheduling something or, there's stuff that's not very cerebral, maybe we'll, readjust.
I love that. So another thing too, that I've just been kind of more in tune with. So Jenny Wright, a friend of mine, and she's a holistic hormone and gut health practitioner.
Yes.
Also a PA. She has just helped me more be in tune with all the things.
Right.
And parts of your cycle, which you probably already knew this, but I was never in tune with that. Parts of your cycle or, wherever you are in your female hormone process can affect a lot of the mood, obviously, energy. So certain, phases of your cycle, you feel like you're on top of the world. You have so much energy. You can do all the things. Sometimes you're having a hot flash and you're exhausted and you just feel like you don't want to see anyone. Antisocial.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. Like I find that also interesting, like hormonally, how that affects women specifically, obviously, because it can affect your decisions to your next, like feel your energy, feel the day. Some days you don't want to see anybody. Other days you want to go around town.
Right.
That's interesting. Or she was like, don't start a cleanse on a day where you're not going to feel your best or you're going to want to eat all of the carbs or whatever.
Exactly.
So that is interesting paired with what you're saying. Like there's so many factors to consider in seeing how you're going to feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And so, when I, teach PR campaigns, right, there's a structure and you want to have this beautiful campaign plan.
Yeah.
But then I always say, you know what? You also need to be able to throw that plan in the garbage or pivot dramatically depending on what's going on at any particular time. Because you don't want to be so rigid with your plan that you miss opportunities, and you also don't want to be so rigid on your plan that you force yourself through things that are just not working because of whatever reason, right? Energetically, emotionally, hormonally, whatever. And so again, there's that tension. It has to be that balance, right? Yes, I am physically uncomfortable if I don't have a plan for my day. Again, the type A thing. However, I'm able to pivot if, someone calls and be like, hey, do you want to go to lunch? And I look at I'm like, technically I don't have time.
Right.
But, again, your values, right? Is this person important to me? Blah, 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 blah. Right. Be willing to pivot. Or again, you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm brilliant. I'm going to do all the writing today, right? Totally. Or, oh my gosh, I'm like, or conversely, I'm the dumbest person in the world and all I can do is emails today, whatever. And just be willing to go with that because with swimming upstream.
Well, to your point, I don't think the work, even if you tried to power through it, would be what you want.
Oh, no, it wouldn't
be productive. It wouldn't be quality, right?
100%. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you said email. So I think that's a natural,
it might be.
Right? So you have been involved with the Central California Women's Conference. You were heavily involved as a consultant, right? For years. And I think that's around the time when we met and you were just so engaged and so great. And I just love what the conference brings to the Valley. I know obviously you share in that as well. And now it's fun because you've been a breakout speaker several times, right? How many times?
09, 11, 16, what was last year? 20. I think this will be my 5th one.
Stop it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So fun. Yeah.
So fun. Lucky number 5.
I know. So excited. So grateful.
I am excited to attend your session because I need all of that help in this category. Title of the talk, Managing Your Inbox Instead of It Managing You.
Yeah.
Firstly, another thing I love about the conference, as I'm sure you do too, is just such a wide, diverse range of content.
Love it.
That feels like so enriching and so fulfilling for women of all ages, backgrounds, professions.
100%.
Right? And what's the number now? There's like 4,000 women.
Yeah, 4, it's like I think the max we had was 3,700. Yeah, but it averages around 3,500. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And talk about energy, right?
Right.
I love that day.
Same.
Yeah.
I've been every year since I moved back home and it's just like a treat day.
Yeah.
Right?
It is. I love that.
So I'm excited to see your talk. Give us all the tips. I mean, I don't want you to give away all of your secrets because I want ladies to attend and get the full effect from your full talk. But let's start with what inspired you to go this direction with the topic because you have so much knowledge in so many areas and even with Handle Dish have so many different things you touch on. What made you dive into the email thing?
It was actually a conversation with the executive director.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We were talking about, I'd actually pitched something else.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I can't even remember what it is now. And we were having a conversation and talking about, she was sharing that she was really looking for some additional things on the professional business front. And I said, well, I can always talk about email. I literally just kind of threw it out there. And she's like, oh my gosh, yes. And email does tend to be a really popular topic.
Yes.
Because it's one of those things that it's here forever. is often the bane of our existence. It's necessary evil, all the things, right? And
Totally.
yeah, no, and I love to talk about it because there's so much that we can do that that can make it be less onerous for us, because it's all the O words, right? Onerous, overwhelming, ominous, like all that.
I mean, yeah. So, okay, curious though, how many unread emails do you have in your inbox right now?
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. It's not very many because that's my thing.
Yeah.
And granted, I haven't done anything but look today. Oh, I don't know if it's going to.
Okay, so look. So, okay.
Unread emails, 11. Unread, yeah, 11.
Wow. I envy you. And I'm so excited to learn from your talk. I don't want to give away all the secrets, but a couple things. Firstly, women, people, all the things, overwhelmed.
Yeah.
With emails. You're right. Not only are you getting a ton of spam, you have to flood through the spam to get through the important and then make sure you're responding to the important in a timely manner. Right. Do you have certain thoughts on when an appropriate response time is? Like from time of email received to time when you respond.
Yeah.
Like what you feel like is like good.
Well, I think one thing is we all need to get over the idea that this is not it's not like a Slack or it's not, it doesn't need to be instant. The word is escaping me right now, but
I love that.
So it literally, the expectation to get back to people, instantly is completely ridiculous.
Well, like for example, I used to work for a company where they had a 24-hour response policy.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't, and sometimes you wouldn't even have to actually respond to what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's say Betsy sent me this whole email wanting to get your feedback on things, blah, blah, blah. It would take me a decent amount of time to actually do what you had asked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So their thought was just respond and say received and that you'll get back to them later.
I totally agree with that.
You do?
I really do. I think 24 hours, there's exceptions. I also don't believe we need to check email on the weekends unless it's essential. But I do. I think 24 hours if we can is a really good rule of thumb. But I don't think that means it has to be resolved, which is where the system comes in. But I think with all digital communication, and again, this is just my personal philosophy, I think it's really good if we can respond, again, even imperfectly, in a timely manner, so people know that we receive the message, because there's or what we're thinking or what we're doing, right? Because I find it really challenging when I reach out and then I don't hear anything. So I'm like, okay, well, did they get it? Are they confused? Like, is it going to happen? Are they going to do the thing? Like, there's all these questions on the part of the sender that you can alleviate very quickly. You can literally say, on it. Or I will give it to you by the deadline, right? Yeah. I'll give it to you by the deadline. I think we can also be better emailers, right? I think we can, every time we ask someone something, we should give a deadline. And I totally advocate time, day of the week, and date. That way there's no wiggle room. Because I don't know about you, I get really frustrated when people are like, get it to me by Friday. I'm like, does that mean Thursday? Meaning like when Friday starts, do you need it?
Like by end of day Friday, by Friday, or end of day Thursday. I feel you on that. We've been trying to work on that a lot as a team here too, as far as like if you send a request for anything, whether it be to a team member or a client or whatever, media partner, like give them a deadline.
Absolutely. Everything.
Because otherwise, how do I know? Is it like urgent ASAP? Like let's assess the priority here.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So you're cool with potentially 24-hour.
Again, most of the time, sometimes it doesn't happen, but I just, even if it's incomplete, that's totally okay. But then of course we do need to have a system, right? And I think that one of the things that a lot of people do that really stresses them out about email is they use their inbox as a to-do list.
I do.
If something is incomplete, it stays there, which means there tends to be a larger number of emails in your inbox than is necessary. And so, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about at the conference is creating a system. So literally our inbox is literally like triage. So it comes in, if we can deal with it right away, great. At specific designated times. I also don't believe that we need to check our email all day long. Granted, again, imperfect. I do it. You know, some days I'm like compulsively checking it just like everybody else. But when I'm at my best, you know, you don't do it first thing because, you know, whatever time, late morning is obviously ideal because you want to do some of your most important things before the rest of the world tells you what you're supposed to do. So, you know, specific times that you're going to be checking your email.
Okay.
And then it comes in. So let's just say it's your email processing time. Let's just say you've designated most days from 11 to 12. So you go in, anything that you can do right away, boom, 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 right? Here's the, you know, here's the attachment, here's the this, here's the phone number, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then if you're not able to complete the cycle or whatever, again, got it, we'll do, here's my question, blah, 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 blah. But then it doesn't live there if it's incomplete. So, you know, whatever kind of folders that you want, you know, it can be as simple as this week, next week, whatever, right? Or, you know, days of the week, if you're like wanting to, you know, okay, this is something I want to do on Wednesday. Again, that really doesn't matter. But the thing is you want it to exit your inbox. And then that way, you know, next time you do your email processing, let's say it's 3 p.m., the only things literally that are going to be in there are your new emails. And then you triage them. And so my 2 best folders, which I think everyone should have, are, I don't even know, you can call it anything, but like stuff for this week. And what I mean by that is sometimes we'll get an email that'll have a report that we need for like a meeting later that week, or it'll be a link or just something that we need for something else that's happening, but it's not today. And so it stays in our inbox because we're going to need it, right? But if we put it in our little like stuff for this week folder, then when that happens, you're like, where is that? Oh yeah, it's in that folder. And so again, it leaves your inbox. I'm also a huge fan of those little color codey things that Gmail has. I have a whole system for all the colors. So fun. Plus it's fun. So that's my thing that I think everyone should have, that folder. So that way all that junk can get out of your inbox. The second obsessed folder I have is pending.
Okay.
Because I don't want to have to wonder. I don't want to have to remember whether or not a loop is closed. So if, like, let's just say I send you an email and I ask you for some information, I will blind copy myself. So it goes back into my inbox and then I will put it in my pending folder. That way I know that there's a email loop out there that's open.
Okay.
And then once a week, sometimes Thursdays, sometimes Fridays, tend to try to be the end of the week, I go through all my pendings. And if the loop is still open and I want to give a nudge, I'm like,
I know a file.
blah, 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 you know, hey, just checking in, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Or it just stays there until the next week and if it's still open, you know, nudge or whatever. But that way I have all of the open loops in one place. And so therefore nothing falls through the cracks. And I don't have to remember to make sure it doesn't fall through the cracks. Because I don't have the capacity for that. I don't think anybody does, but I definitely don't.
How do you keep your to-dos, as a side note? Because to your point, like I'm one of those people that my inbox is my to-dos.
Yeah.
So, but I also am a pen to paper person.
Yeah.
I have to write it down. So I live and breathe by this here.
I know. I love that.
I'm obsessed. But what's your, like, where do you keep your to-dos? Or is that your process and you don't even need a to-do because they're in pending?
No, I definitely have a to-do. Yeah, no, that's just, but that, yeah, it's definitely part of it. But I'm an Evernote girl. I was an early adopter of Evernote. I'm still Evernote obsessed. And so I'll, you know, my to-do lists are in Evernote. And that's something I still tinker with. At the moment, I have a Evernote for each like big category of things I'm responsible for. And the, you know, the continuing list of to-dos is on each of those Evernotes. And then when I make the plan for the week, I'm like, okay, well, what of these things need to be done? And when do I think I'm going to do them? Right. And then build the weekly to-do list from there. Wow. So it's kind of like, I guess you would call it a nested system.
Yeah.
And again, when everything is running on all cylinders, things don't stay in the inbox because they've been put on one of those lists. Right?
Yeah.
And then I can put them, in whatever folder it is, like the, the internship grant project folder or whatever. So that way, my to-do list will trigger, hey, you need to create this report for the dean, for example.
Right.
See email folder or whatever. And then I can go there and get the information I need to do the thing. And it's not living in my inbox. Because what I find most people have anxiety about with email is whenever you look at your email, not only do you see the new stuff, you see the other stuff that you haven't done yet.
Totally.
And it's like, that's why it's weighty.
So
it's like,
okay, so that brings me to my next thing. So part of your talk description says something to the effect of giving yourself compassion and flexibility. Talk through that. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, every system, we're not robots.
Yeah.
So even if we have the world's most perfect system, there's going to be days when we completely don't follow it. I mentioned that, there are days when I check my email compulsively. Right. That is not my plan. That is not best practice. That is not what I teach. Right. And so, I just have to, at the end of the day, be like, hey, well, how did that feel? Gross. Right. Is the answer,
Yeah.
And okay, well, why don't we try our actual plan the next, why don't we try to do what you really say you want to do tomorrow?
Right.
So, and not beat yourself up, right? Yeah. But, reflect and be like, okay, you didn't do what you had intended. How'd that go for you? How's that working for you?
Right.
And then not good, right? And then, okay, fine. We'll just, do it better the next day.
Right.
But don't be like, oh my gosh, I still, my inbox still has 4,000 unread messages and blah, 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 blah. That means I'm unproductive. We tell ourselves these stories, these really ridiculous narratives that are never positive when we're in that state, which again, doesn't make us productive people. Being mean to ourselves does not equal productivity.
I feel like this is such a common thread in everything we're talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Be kind.
Be kind to yourself.
To you.
To you.
I mean, oh my gosh, if you're not kind to you, like seriously?
I know.
But I mean, again, I am an imperfect human, so I'm unkind to myself all the time.
Yeah.
But it's not a good idea.
It's not works. Okay, so for public speaking, I feel like they're so great at that.
Oh, thank you.
I really don't like doing it. Any advice for people who are either fearful of it or don't like doing it or are trying to get into doing it more? Any advice?
You really just have to do it. In my opinion, I have found that
do it more, like repetition.
Yeah. Like give yourself every opportunity to do it,
Yeah.
Take, make up opportunities to do it, take every opportunity to do it. Cause I have found that the more frequently you are successful and the more you can see yourself sort of even incrementally, getting better and feeling more comfortable, that's really the path. This, unfortunately, at least this has been my experience, is not like you learn how to ride a bike and you're done, right?
Right.
We're never done learning how to be a public speaker. We can get better, 100%.
Right.
But it's also not linear, right? You can like be the best speaker ever on Tuesday and then, the following Wednesday be not amazing. You're not going to be terrible, but because again, energy, all that kind of stuff.
Say energy.
Yeah. But the more you do it, the better it becomes. And videotaping and watching is, I give that advice all the time. No one ever does it. But if we can.
So I do that for media training.
Yeah. Of course we do. Right? That's how we media train people. It's like, you need to see yourself.
Why is my foot flopping all around, or why do I have that weird twitch, or why did I say and 1,000 times? You have to sort of replay like athletes do with their sports tape,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So hats, we've talked about most of your hats here. We've gone, let's see, professor, mom, podcaster, speaker. Now we're going the author hat. Okay. So I'm excited to hear about your new book.
Yes.
So exciting. Okay, so you and Tori, this is the second edition.
Yes.
I'm going to make sure I get the title right. Land Your Dream Career in College.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
So fun. And back to the whole, like, if it's not fun, just, and you're not, and you know, it's not paying your mortgage, like, no,
Right.
we are having the best time. It is so much, we're having even more fun than the first time, I think. So this all started, Tori was my student. She graduated in 2009. The economy was not amazing, as some of you may recall. And so, she, after graduation, and she actually had her dream job after graduation, she was reflecting about a year or so later, and she's like, you know what? I think I was successful because I did these things while I was in college. So we were having a conversation, and she was saying, you know what? I think I want to write a book. She's like, but I'm terrified. And, or, you know, I don't think, maybe not the word terrified, but she's like, I don't know, should I, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know, I said, a thought is that I think I have some content that would really work well with what you're talking about. What if we did it together?
Wow.
And so she agreed. And so we decided to, you know, do the thing. And we wanted to do the traditional publishing route and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we were so grateful. Got an agent, got a publisher. The first edition landed in 2013.
Amazing.
And which was great. And then,
So available on Amazon, bookstore, like
yep,
Where books
all
are
the
at.
things. Yeah, wherever you buy your
Amazing.
favorite books, which is great.
Yeah.
And then when it in 2023, when it was, you know, approaching it or on its 10th birthday, we're like, you know what? The world has changed a little bit since then. And so what if we pitched the publisher on a second edition?
right.
And so we did. And so basically, you know, the core content is the same, that it's not great to wait until graduation to start this process. You really need to be intentional and strategic and use your pixie dust, which we'll talk about in a second. And all of that core content mixed with how do you truly leverage social? What on earth do you do with AI? You know, what are some of the new realities of work that didn't exist in 2013, right? Like, you know, the pandemic changed everything about the world of work.
So true.
And so how do you, you know, think about that, you know, when you do and plan your dream career? But yeah, and so it's out there in the world.
Amazing.
And
How
so much
long
fun.
time in the making from the time, was it 23 when you were like, let's do a 10-year?
yeah, so we
So
pitched
now-
them in November 23.
Okay.
The manuscript was then due in September of 24 and then July of 25. So publishing is not a fast
Yeah,
process.
right.
Yeah, so here we are.
So
Yeah.
Exciting. So when is the book available?
It available as at the taping of this podcast, July 10th, 2025. It's here. And yeah, so and
exciting.
so it's exciting.
So exciting. That's awesome. So what are you hoping for the reader to be? Is it somebody already in college? Is it somebody thinking about college? A combination of both, potentially post-college? Like what are your thoughts on the audience for the book?
Yeah. So it is definitely the best, perfect human to read the book is anyone in college of any kind, right? Obviously, the sooner in your college career you read it, the more you're going to be able to
Yeah.
implement the strategies.
Yeah.
However, the content is really applicable for anyone who sort of wants to, you know, level up and refocus on their career. There's a lot of time management stuff in there. There's a lot of networking stuff in there. Again, how to leverage
Time
social,
Networking, social, AI.
yeah, all of that.
So I feel like personal experience. So there's that, but I don't think I'm alone in that. You're in high school, you're pressured to pick a major.
Yeah.
You pick that major, whether or not that's going to be your end all be all career, or it's just something to get you in the door to the university of your
Right. Yeah.
And then you get there and you're there and you may or may not love it, right?
Mhm.
Like how many times do you hear? I think at one point I heard on average people change their major like 3 times. I don't know what the number is now, but it's a decent amount.
Yep.
And on top of that, I do feel like each school is so different in their school of thought of internships and processes, depending on like even at the university, for example, Fresno State, even different schools within Fresno State have different processes and thoughts on when you should start, who you should be doing them with, etc. There's just a lot of pressure to literally know what you want to be when you grow up at such a young age. So how are your thoughts on navigating? And I'm sure, obviously, I'm excited to read the book. I would have loved to read the book before our episode, but how what are your thoughts on navigating that, right? Like being, to your point, giving yourself grace, being kind to yourself, giving yourself the opportunity to fail and see like, okay, I thought I wanted to do that. And now I definitely don't, right? Like, do you talk about those sorts of concepts in the book, or what advice would you give to somebody around this age with it feels like overwhelmed with making that decision?
Yeah. I think one of the things that, all of us at that age, or not all of us, a lot of people at that age feel that every decision is in cement, right? Like there is this, pick a major, do the thing. Yeah. Figure out your whole life at 18 or whatever, which of course is ridiculous.
Right.
And it really goes back to that whole idea of the experimenting and making the best choice that you can at the moment, and then not putting it in cement because it might be the perfect choice, right? And there's a whole section at the front of the book about finding your path, because there are a lot of people who have no clue when they first start this process. And so there's this whole conversation about, and might be controversial, so maybe that's fun for a podcast, but I don't believe that you should tell people to follow their passion, because not that passion is not important, but I think what's more important in the college major selection process is, what do you want your life to look like when you're done with college? What lifestyle are you looking for? And so, there's a whole series of questions, right? It's like, okay, geography. Do you need to live here? Can you move anywhere, right? How much money do you think you need to make? Do you want to work remotely? Do you want to have to dress up for work? Do you want to have a large company, a small company, a, thriving industry, blah, 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 blah. There's all these things that you can ask yourself about what you want your life to look like in the world of work and out of it. And then what disciplines and majors match that. Because if you are someone that really values having a lot of money, there are obviously certain industries and majors that are more apt to be able to provide that for you. If creativity and flexibility and community building are the things that are important to you, then obviously you're going to make different choices. So I think sometimes we look at it from the wrong angle. And so there's a lot of conversation about that. But the experimentation, the lighter touch, that's something I've been working on personally, is so important, because you go down a path, you make the best choice that you think is possible. And if you hate all of your classes, that is a sign, right? Which is why I always tell people, don't just pick the name of the department, look at the classes they offer.
That's smart.
And if you can't wait to take every single one of those classes, that's clearly a sign that this is a good idea. But if you look at those classes and you're like, okay, which one of those am I going to take, right? Clearly, this is not going to be a match for you. So it is a very complex decision, but it's one that we need to look at it from the right angles. To your point about internships, you want to get experience. So we talk about experiential learning at the university. And I think we need to expand the conversation. Yes, internships are a huge part of it, because it is way better to find out that you hate this before you graduate.
I remember thinking,
right?
The thing that I thought I wanted to be, I'll just say, I did an internship in and wanted to stab my.
It's a thing.
This was not it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have known that
100%.
if I didn't do it. So I'm a strong believer of internships, but also I feel like I'm a unique circumstance, because I majored in something that I'm not necessarily doing. And you talk about passion versus lifestyle, all the things. All my classes came very easy to me, and some were challenging, but it was just getting the work done.
Yeah.
But I was kind of bored. I'm majorly bored, if I'm being honest, and just not fueled creatively. So I filled that with my internships.
Right.
But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't have the experience that I did.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I'd be in a very different profession and in a very different place.
And you found out, right, that fueling yourself creatively is a very important thing for you.
For me.
Yeah. And which is great. So that way you were able to go in that direction, right? You also could have found out that feeling yourself creatively is not as important as, maybe some of these other factors, right? Because we're all different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we need to get experience as frequently and as frequently as we can. Internships, service learning courses, volunteering, club activities. Like there are so many ways. And that's a lot of what's in the book is there's a lot of ways to get experience and to test drive some of these things. Not just internships. So I want students to do all of it, right?
And not just your major, from what you're saying.
Yes.
There's so many different types of education versus like a 4-year college.
Totally.
So you touch on all that.
And I created a university-wide internship course at Fresno State. And so all universities need to do this. Any university listening, we created a university-wide internship course for that exact reason for students who wanted to take an internship outside of their major. Because in most departments, you can do an internship, but it has to be in engineering. It has to be in computer science. It has to be in media communications and journalism. Otherwise, we're not going to give you credit for it. Why would we, right? But let's just say you're an engineer and you want to take a special event internship. Well, if you have a university-wide internship that provides you the opportunity to do that, you can test drive some of these other ideas that you have in a much less dramatic way than changing your major on a hunch.
Yeah. So we had an intern last summer and she was majoring in psychology and she thought that she wanted to be like a school psychologist or go into like education in some capacity.
Yeah.
And just was not really, I don't know if it wasn't like the right fit or she wasn't enjoying her classes. I don't know. But it was the summer before she graduated and her mom actually reached out to me and made the connection. And then I ended up meeting with her. And she ended up interning for us. And she's like, Ray, I work in a completely different department. Like, I don't even know if I could get school credit for this. I'd have to like ask for special permission, which she ended up doing and ended up eventually getting granted, but it wasn't easy.
Right.
And she literally knew pretty much nothing about our industry, but she knew enough to be interested. She was very intrigued. And she got hands-on experience. We're a small team. We have a lot going on. No 2 days are the same, all the things. She graduated this past May and is working in comms and marketing.
Love that.
I know. And I'm not saying it's because of her internship with us, but I'm saying it opened her eyes to a world outside of her major.
Exactly.
And I totally related to that. And I think that's great that you implemented a university-wide opportunity. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. And I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. Yay.
So you have so much going on in this fun season of life for you. What most excites you about what's next?
Oh gosh. I'm so grateful every day. Like I really feel like I have a lot of really fun things that are going on and everything is so fun right now. I love that. I think all of it. I think it's interesting. I've been in a real creation phase, right? Yeah. Creating things. And I think I'm about to enter like a reset kind of thing. I've been sort of like externally focused. I think I'm going to start a little bit more of an internally focused phase because I'm not exactly sure what I want to focus on next.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to a lot of reflection and thinking and I have this really interesting sort of this is a weird word, but like a need to like purge stuff. Like I've actually started going through like a cleanse. Like I've started going through all of my house and, I want to do that digitally too. Like I just want to just get rid of all of the noise.
Wow.
So I can really see what I want to do next. So I'm weirdly excited about doing that. And maybe it's weird. I don't know. But
I think it sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Yeah. I really think it will be. I really just feel very called to do that. And I feel like it's really going to lead to something very fun. Maybe I have a couple of ideas and maybe they will be the ones that I land on or maybe it's something totally different,
right?
How fun would that be?
Which is so fun.
Yeah.
I feel like too, they say when your mind is most calm is when you get the best ideas, right? Like, so you were saying at 3 a.m. or
yeah, I don't recommend that, but yes.
Well, maybe it's when you're cleansing all the things.
Yes.
The next big idea comes.
100%.
Well, I'm excited to see what it is. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Oh,
How can people get in touch with you? You have your website.
Yes. Yeah. Website is got all the things.
Okay. I'll link that in the show notes.
Yeah. Betsy A. Hays. Hays is Hays. BetsyAHays.com. And then, at Betsy Hays on all the social. Would love to, have more conversations about all this. Obviously, we both love talking about all this stuff.
Yes.
So happy to be here. Thank
Love
you.
it. Thank you.
Also, cheers to 9 years.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, RPM.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
I know, time flies.
I just can't. I remember when, we had a conversation even before you opened the doors. It's just so great. I'm so proud of you and proud of all the work that you all have done.
You too. Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you.
It was so fun.
Cheers, Fred.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thanks for listening. Feel free to rate and review this episode here and connect with us on Instagram if you have any thoughts, questions, or any guest suggestions. Thanks.